What's my with time? So I was on Amazon, looking around like for books because that's what you do when you're broke. You go on Amazon, and I found this book called Recruitment by K.A. Riley. Recruitment is about this girl who lives in a world where everything is sad and everybody shares the same birthday of November 1st, and when they turn 17, they go off somewhere and they're never seen again. And it's like they go fight in a war. I don't really remember. This was weeks ago. Anyway, I put that in my cart because it sounded interesting. I was like, I'll read it later. And then yesterday, I was watching Dominic Noble's Lost in Adaptation video about the Hunger Games, and it really got me thinking. I was like, whatever happened to the YA craze of like 2012? Everyone was reading dystopian books, and like then they stopped, and so I was like on a mission to find out what happened, and that's what this video is. So I did the research, and all you have to do is sit back and watch. September 14th of 2008, Suzanne Collins released The Hunger Games, and I think this book was really what started the uproar. I know, like, obviously, yeah, other dystopian books existed before The Hunger Games, but this is the book that, like, this was the blueprint. This is what started the craze of dystopian books in 2012, and, you know, this is what we're going to start with. So if you're one of, like, the two people watching this who haven't seen or read The Hunger Games, basically, it's about this girl named Katniss and this boy named Peeta, and they are in this battle royale fight to the death. They live in this futuristic version of the U.S., and there's 12 districts, and one boy and one girl from each district either volunteer or get chosen to compete in this battle to the death, and the winner, well, I don't really know what the winner gets, to live, I guess, but yeah, that's really what it is, and it's a really good book. It was really popular when it came out. Lots of people loved it. It was very popular. It's The Hunger Games. You've read The Hunger Games. If you're a reader, you've read The Hunger Games. Fun fact, when I first read The Hunger Games, I listened to it on audio for the first half of it, and the girl who was reading it had an accent. I can't remember what it was. It was like Australian, and I thought she just didn't know how to pronounce the name Peter, and I was like, why does she keep saying it like that? I guess that's just his name, because I read the last half of the book like with a physical copy. His name's just Pete, whatever. You know that, but I didn't know that until I finished reading it back in 2015. I was like, what is this? Who named someone that? Whatever. Moving on. Following year, James Dashner released The Maze Runner, October 6th of 2009. I think this book was more popular once the movie came out, but it still was relatively popular, and it just added to, you know, what everyone was loving. It added to the dystopian. It was a really unique premise for a book, I'd say, but we're just getting started. Matched came out by Andy Conti, November 30th of 2010. And then the following year, Divergent by Veronica Roth came out. Again, these are two books that center around a futuristic world where the government controls what we all do heavily. And that was really the focal point of all these books. They're futuristic, they're bleak, it seems like everyone's having a rough time, the government sucks. These 4 books were very popular. There's other books, but I'm just kind of trying to stick to the most popular ones because I don't have all day here. This is where it gets big, because the first Hunger Games movie was released in 2012, and when this movie was released, this popped off. Everyone went wild. This movie, I would personally say, is a very good film adaptation. Suzanne Collins worked heavily alongside the people who were making this movie. I don't know if she was there for like casting and stuff. I assume she was, but she worked heavily on the script. This movie is very faithful to the book. It's a very good adaptation. It's a very good movie. I hate the way it's shot, like handheld. It's weird, but like it's a good movie. It's a good adaptation, and I highly regard it as one of the best adaptations of a book. It's very faithful to the source material. But when this movie came out, this thing skyrocketed. The movie Upside Down, starring Kirsten Dunst, came out in 2012. I only put this here because I really like this movie. It's this movie about these worlds, like all the poor people live down here on normal Earth, but like the rich people live like upside down on upside down. I don't know, but it's a good movie, and this guy loves this girl from up there, and he has to like try to get up there. They're like childhood friends, and I don't know. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember really liking it. I should try to find that movie and rewatch it. But yeah, I really liked it. I really liked it, and so I put it on this list because it was a part of this fad. So yeah, The Testing by Joelle Charbonneau. That came out May 1st of 2013. Very similar, walking in the footprints of the Hunger Games. If you can hear my dog in the back, I'm sorry. She's not being neglected or anything. She just barks at her reflection in the window. The Catching Fire film adaptation came out in 2013 as well. A lot of things actually came out in 2014. The Divergent adaptation came out. The Maze Runner adaptation came out. The Giver, which is a film adaptation of a 1993 book that I didn't mention earlier, that came out in 2014. And The Mockingjay Part 1 came out in 2014. This is when I'd say the decline of the genre was. Not the genre, the decline of the era was. It was too much saturation. It was getting old. Like, it was getting old fast. Like, people just kept making these movies. They kept writing these books, and they were all starting to sound the same. Like every now and then you'll see like one of those videos that's like every dystopian book ever. They're all about the same thing, like there's these people, they live in the future, they're like really poor and they're like scavenging, and then something happens and like everything's about to change, and like there's a love triangle. They're all the same. People were getting tired of it. And this is when I think things started to die. The Insurgent adaptation came out in 2015, which no one cared about. The Maze Runner Scorched Trials came out in 2015. The Mockingjay Part 2 adaptation came out in 2015, and I think that's when people stopped caring too, because like the Hunger Games movies were done, and those were the biggest ones. So like when those were over, why am I still here? The Gender Games by Bella Forrest came out September 9th of 2016. I feel like these things were like riding on the coattails of the fate, like of the craze. I feel like it was over, and these things were like, it like when a store's closing and it's like everything's like 95% off. I feel like that's what this was. It was like, get in there before the door closes. Like we need to make our money. The Fifth Wave came out in 2016, which I haven't watched, but I think a lot of people really were split on it. The Allegiant adaptation came out in 2016, which again, no one cared about. And I think this is when it was over. It was dead. It was on life support since 2014, but like 2016 is when the plug was pulled. She's dead. She's died. It's so sad, She was so young. She had so much life to give. But as of recently, I've been reading and I've seen a lot of like really good dystopian books, and some movies and like TV shows have been coming out as of recent. Like streaming's more popular than it was in 2012, so it's easier to like consume shows like that and stuff in like rapid succession and like binge watch them. And then like a lot of books have been coming out that are dystopian. that are just like really good as of recent, and they're more of a fresh take on the genre than just the same 4 things happening in every book. Shatter Me by Sahara Mafia, is that how you say her name? I could be saying that wrong. The book is actually called Imagine Me. I don't know why in my head and in my mind I thought it was Shatter Me. Like I even wrote that on the script, but I digress. Came out March 31st of 2020. The Princess Trials, which seems like a bootleg selection, I haven't read it yet, but just based off the description, came out in 2020 on May 3rd. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is like a prequel spin-off-ish thing to the Hunger Games. That was released May 19th of 2020. This Hulu movie called A New Order looks really good. I haven't seen it, but like I will watch that probably tonight or tomorrow. That came out in 2020. Sky Hunter by Marie Lu being slaps. That came out in 2020. It's so good. I haven't read Steel Striker yet. I don't have money, like we mentioned beforehand. But when I get some money, it's oh my gosh, I'm so ready for it. Anyway, that's what we're talking about. The Key to Fear by Kirsten Cast also came out in 2020, October 3rd. So a lot of things have been coming out. A lot of things that take like a fresh new take on the sci-fi dystopian genre. And I'm really happy with a lot of them. So I do think we could be kind of making like another like wave of dystopian books could be happening. Which I kind of don't hate. I don't want it to be the same 5 tropes again, but I think, again, she's fine. So dramatic. But I think it could happen. Anyway, so thanks for watching. I know this video was like kind of boring and just me rambling about books from 2008 to 2016.